This drawing tutorial will guide you in creating your realistic wine glass using graphite pencils. Drawing glass can seem challenging due to its transparency and reflections, but by focusing on the fundamental principles of drawing, we'll break down the process into easy steps. These are the materials we're going to use in this tutorial. An HB pencil, 3B or 4B and 6B pencils, a blending tool, an eraser, a ruler. Use your ruler to draw a straight line down the middle of your paper. Draw an oval at the top of your paper, kind of like an egg shape. This will be the top of your wine glass. Draw a horizontal line across the top of the oval. This line will show the width of the glass. Decide how big you want the drawing to be and make your oval and line accordingly. From the center of the bottom of the oval, draw two vertical lines. These lines will be the stem of the wine glass. The stem should be elegant and thin. At the bottom of the stem lines, draw a short horizontal line. This will be the base of the stem. Now sketch the shape of the leg of the glass, connecting it to the base of the stem. Use your eraser to clean up the guidelines you drew. Make the lines of your drawing smooth and even. It's normal to make mistakes while drawing. Use light sketchy lines to start blocking in your glass. You'll probably adjust your lines several times as you work. To check for any mistakes, look at your drawing in a mirror. It will help you see if the proportions are right. Your drawing should look similar to the example. To make your wine glass look realistic, we need to show the reflections inside the glass. Once you're happy with the basic shape of your glass, it's time to think about how light and dark areas and value structure will make it look realistic. Squint your eyes at the glass. This will help you see the lightest and darkest areas more clearly. Start by lightly sketching the shapes that will be the lightest and darkest areas of your wine glass. Think of this like drawing the shadow shapes on your paper. Add a light layer of graphite to your drawing. This will help you define the light and dark areas. So fill in the shadow areas with a flat layer of graphite. This will help you see if the reflections look realistic. You can make your shading look more smoother by using a soft paintbrush to blend the graphite. Move the brush back and forth to push the graphite into the paper, creating a smoother finish. This pushes graphite into the pores of the paper, creating a flatter value. Use light and dark lines to draw the reflections inside and on the surface of the glass. You don't need to be worried about making them different shades yet. Just focus on making the shapes of the shadows look right. As you draw the shadows, look at the spaces between the light areas. These spaces are called negative spaces. Positive space or positive shapes refer to shapes that we have drawn. Negative space or negative shapes refer to the empty space between the drawn shapes. Evaluating the shapes of both positive and negative shapes results in more accurate drawings. Keep adding more shadow shapes to your wine glass. Start with big, simple shapes and then move on to smaller, more detailed shapes. This will make your drawing more accurate. Look for the lightest areas of your wine glass. These are the brightest spots where the light hits the glass, and pay attention to the shadow shapes. When you're adding shades to a drawing, it's helpful to start by figuring out the very lightest and darkest areas. This will help you to know what shades to use for the rest of the drawing. Now that we have the basic shapes, we're going to make it look more realistic by adding different shades and making the edges sharper. So grab a darker shade of pencil like a 3B or 4B. When we begin adding value to a drawing, the first step is always to determine and draw in value extremes, the lightest and darkest values in the scene. This gives us two solid reference values to compare the rest of our tone to, and reminds us that the remaining values will fall somewhere between our two extremes, helping us not to over darken or over lighten them. Use a knead eraser to carefully adjust the shadows. Now that you have the lightest and darkest areas, it's easier to figure out what shades to use for the rest of your drawing. In this step, start focusing on the middle shades, the areas that aren't the very lightest or darkest. You want to have a variety of metal shades in your drawing. With the two value extremes established on my drawing, it becomes much easier to estimate how light or dark to make the rest of the values, because I have the lightest and darkest values to compare to. I'm shifting my focus to refining the halftones or middle values and making sure that I have a range of middle values in my drawing. Look at the different edges of your glass. Some are sharp and some are soft. This helps to make the glass look realistic. Think about the reflections you see in the glass. You don't need to draw every single one. Again, squint at the glass and focus on the reflections that are most noticeable. These are the ones you should draw. Keep looking for the lightest and darkest areas of the glass, like the highlights and shadows at the bottom of the stem and on the side of the glass as well. The key to drawing glass is to forget what it is and focus on what you see. Instead of thinking about the complexities of reflections and highlights, see the glass as lines, shapes, values, and edges. This shift in perspective will help you analyze the drawing process and confidently move forward. While drawing transparent glass might seem impossible, remember that we can draw what we see, not just what we know. Glass, even though it's transparent, can be observed and therefore drawn. To finish your glass, add dark, thick lines to show the shadows inside the glass. You can also shade the bottom part of the glass and the inside of the glass. You can do this using your 6B graphite pencil. Now your drawing looks like a real wine glass. Feel free to use references and take your time with each step. Thank you for following this tutorial. I'm glad you made it this far. I hope this tutorial was helpful and easy to follow. Let me know which other tutorial you'd like to see on Peonypaint, and I'll do my best to bring them to you. Until next time, and happy drawing!